On today's episode, we're going to talk about some relevant trans topics as well as the debacle that was the Fire Festival. Welcome to the episode.
Yeah, my man Andrew back at it again with the smooth jams. We might just say fuck the podcast and
Just do a radio show.
just do it.
That would be fun, actually. That would be a lot of fun.
I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have to think.
No. That's Rory God's Whisper, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. Some type of remix. I don't know. You'll recognize it if you hear it. If you
Shazam
look it
that
up.
bitch. If
Yeah.
y'all want to know that bad, Shazam it. But I'm all into you introducing me to new music. I think a few of our listeners are also
Yeah, probably
introduced
so. I would assume so.
some new jams.
Yeah.
You know, keeping up with new music is hard these days, though.
Yeah, as we've said before, there's just too much out there other than music now.
And right, there's the podcast jam. But I mean, let me ask you this: when we were younger and music was coming out, was this much good music coming out at this frequent of a pace?
Well, no, because the internet. Nah, at a certain point in childhood, the internet allowed us to hear a bunch of new music, but when it was just like radio and buying CDs and tapes, no, I wasn't old enough for tapes, but CDs. It was. I don't know if there was as much then.
I don't think so.
Just because there's more of an avenue for everyone to get their opinion out there now.
Right. Before you had to produce a physical thing and put it in a physical place in order for people to have access to it. Now there's this intangible thing called the internet where you could just upload fucking gargantuan amounts of music and everybody has instantaneous access to it. So I guess I am right in the fact that this is a new trend where every Friday I hit the new Music Friday thing on the Spotify app.
Yeah.
And it's like, bruh, how I can't listen to all of this shit.
No, yeah. And everybody puts a song out pretty much every Friday now. All your favorite artists, according to that playlist. So you're kind of screwed from the beginning.
There's no hope.
Yeah.
Now I see why people get stuck in their old ways and their old music, because it just gets to a point where like there's just too much new shit. So Cole, it's just me and you from here on out, bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh man, I wanted to use his new song for this one, but it would be
fire.
Yeah, it is. I've played it
so
many times within this house that Lydia probably wouldn't want me to play it for this, so I didn't.
You know what's crazy? You know whose album is actually really good? Future.
I feel like he always has another album out.
Okay, granted. And this shit is like 30 tracks long.
I mean, he's just in the studio with the Molly. You're able to produce track after track when you're doing that.
When you're on drugs, you can do anything, bro.
You kind of can. It makes you a superhero.
Kids, this is a public service announcement.
Oh God! Hopefully no one is listening to this that is younger than a certain age. I don't know, but please don't listen to this if you're younger than 18.
What are we like, yo? Okay, here's a good question. Say you knew your kids were about to like smoke weed, do Molly, whatever, drugs that don't like really fuck you up like that. What would you? And they came to you and
you
they were
said
like,
do Molly.
I mean, Molly does fuck you up.
Yeah, it kind of does. That's not
caveat.
That's not a good example. Not
caveat.
a good example.
So all right, let's say your kids came up to you and said they were like, and they had a good enough relationship with you where like they were like, yo, Dad, I'm gonna smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
How old?
So if it's their first time trying, I'm assuming that's like 14, 15.
I would assume by that time I've done research and it's probably not good for a developing brain.
Uh-huh.
So what late age did you say?
14, 15. They're about to try it for the first time.
Maybe.
What would you do?
Maybe.
You would let them?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they're gonna do it anyway, you might as well do it at home,
right?
And at that point in 15 years, I don't have a kid now, so if I had one now and in 15 years, it might be legalized all over. So
that's true.
You never know.
That's true. I've thought a lot about that one. I mean, I guess what I would come down to is like, yeah, if they're telling me like, hey, Dad, I'm being honest enough with you to say that I'm gonna do it, but it's either I'm gonna do it here or I'm gonna do it with my homies, I'm gonna be like, all right, do it here.
Yeah, because you might also get in, I mean, who knows? You might get called by the cops, and then
Right.
you're kind of screwed
Right.
if you're not at home.
That's true. So yeah, I think I would have to let my kids smoke weed as long as
As they
I
share.
get to hit it.
Yeah, as they
As
share it.
long like they will, that will be the number
But
one
not when
rule in
you're
my
recording a
house.
podcast.
Look, I have made because I haven't smoked in so long. I can't smoke and function like a regular human being.
Well, I went back to the first one, the hidden podcast that no one's heard, and yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're just gonna keep it away from Ray for now.
It's like I don't know what happens, bro. Maybe it's because like yeah, I think it's just a time thing, man. If you it's kind of like not drinking for a year or two and then having like 2 shots.
Yeah, very true.
Drunk as fuck.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
It's gonna
So,
happen.
Same difference. But maybe I'll jump back on that train one day. I still fuck with the edibles. It's just smoking blunts, which used to be my thing, man.
Yeah.
Like that's what I used to. I used to roll the best blunts, bro. I would roll blunts. I would pearl them. You know what pearling a blunt is, right?
I'm not sure I do.
Oh, that's a black thing. Okay. So pearling a blunt is when you roll it so perfectly it burns like a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
Every single blunt I've ever rolled in my life, up and like except like the first one or two, everything after that was just perfect. It would burn.
How about now? Do you
I still-
retain the skill?
Yes.
It's just like riding a bike.
Yeah. I could do that right now if I wanted to.
Well, then what the fuck? I should even if you're not smoking, I should have let you roll it before the podcast.
So honestly, because this is what happens, I don't like producing a masterpiece and not partaking. So if I roll a blunt, I'm gonna want to smoke it.
Well, I mean,
So I can't.
damn.
So I mean, to function, to do a podcast, I just can't do it. If I
Yeah,
was chilling,
no, I understand.
maybe something different.
Yeah, we're all not superheroes.
So what you saying? You a superhero?
I said if you do drugs,
Yeah,
superhero.
well, I mean, I would like to think so. I just saved up all my powers.
So yeah, this is episode 6, I guess,
It
and
is.
we are gonna get into some. Well, first off, some hard hitting stuff per usual. You know, the first topic is a little deeper than the second one, I guess. A little more
I would think
relevant to culture right now, but we have the Supreme Court's ruling right off the bat. I guess I just mentioned that we're going to talk about some trans issues.
Yes.
You know, trans topics and current relevant news, but why we're doing that is due to the Anderson Cooper. That's what it's due to. No, that the Supreme Court. Oh, this is the wrong one. The Supreme Court ruled that the trans military ban was legal, I guess, and will go into effect.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, I guess, will keep quite a few different trans members of our military from serving from now on. I think there's a few exceptions that I read about, but those are in extenuating circumstances.
Right.
So it's I guess it's kind of a landmark victory for Trump's side of things and more conservative parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really sticky issue. I mean, I guess one could compare it to the gay lesbian issue of serving in the military, which was clearly passed into law, and you're allowed to openly serve in the military, and for the most part, it's all good. I'm sure there's still issues revolving that and some shit.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they're still mad about that, but I guess it also has to do with that now there's 5 conservative judges within the Supreme Court. Or no, do you call them judges? Yeah, are they judges?
Yeah, judges.
I think so. Yeah, but there's justices. Excuse me. But and then
Same
there's
thing.
only 4 liberal ones, so all the 4 voted against it, and the 5 conservative voted for it. So one of those is Brett Kavanaugh, your boy,
my guy.
out there just getting grilled right before he got the job, and now he's making those decisions that the reason he got put into the job in the first place. So
that is what exactly
handpicked.
they hoped he would do. He's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which shouldn't be a surprise.
No, not at all. That's how he's always been.
Right. And I mean, okay. Yeah, so my issue is with the transgender thing. I think a lot of people talk about it from the perspective of people trying to discriminate against the LGBTQ community serving within the military.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just maybe they may be talking about it from a camaraderie and cohesive standpoint, that maybe when you introduce something that is that unfamiliar to the majority of people within a group, that it may affect their strategies out on the battlefield. People may not think that somebody is as willing or capable of protecting them when their lives are on the line. And I'm not saying that these things are true. I don't think there's any scientific research that proves that having transgender, gay, lesbian people in within the military proves that they are less cohesive. But I think that's the standpoint from which people are approaching it, where if you have people's lives on the line, that you just want there to be, you want them to be as homogeneous as possible. You want everybody to look, feel, and think as similarly as possible, so that when they do go into these life and death situations, they feel like they can depend on each other a little bit more.
Yeah, I would just pull. This is the article we pulled up from the Washington Post, but it talks about how the general developed a plan for it, for this policy. What's his name? Mattis, Defense Secretary Mattis, and who issued a plan to bar from the military those who identify with a gender different from their birth gender and are seeking to transition. Mattis's plan makes exceptions for about 900 transgender individuals who are already serving openly, and for others who say they will serve in accordance with their birth gender. But it also says it's not a ban on service by transgender persons. It is critical that DoD be permitted to implement personnel policies that it determines are necessary to ensure the most lethal and combat effective fighting force in the world. That's kind of what you're saying.
Right.
Like whatever they deem necessary to do that. And it's like, I guess it is their discretion, but at the same time, it does, I mean, you are keeping out a significant number of people. I mean, is it significant to the overall? Yeah, I don't know. It's significant in terms of people are going to be in uproar about it. In that way, it is significant.
And that's always what's kind of confused me, is how we bend a lot of our rules and policies for the minority and not the majority, which is what a democracy is majority rules.
Correct.
So when you start enforcing things specifically to appease a part of the population that doesn't even make up a fraction of our total population, then things kind of get a little bit murky to me. But setting that aside, I think he reiterated exactly kind of what my thought, without even reading that, what my thought was. It's just, when you're in situations where it's life and death, you got to have as much camaraderie as possible. And again, I don't even know if they're saying like, oh, transgender people will definitively fuck up the cohesiveness of our unit. But if there is a chance it might, it's a chance I'm not willing to take.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, what Trump said it was for was based on the medical costs that it would cost for the military to pay for the transition surgeries of these people. But they, I don't know. It doesn't seem, I think right here is the number we were looking for, but it's 2,500 to 7,000 transgendered men and women serving among the 1.3 million troops. Although I guess the study's accuracy has been questioned by people.
Okay. Well, I mean, even still, what percentage is that? That's less than 1%. If I'm not mistaken.
It's very small.
Yeah.
It is. It's very small. But I mean, it's not. I don't think letting a minority group serve is to the deficit of the military. You know, it's not going to bring down the military to let people of a transgendered nature serve in it.
And you actually point something out that makes me kind of combat my own thought, which is, if I'm willing to sit here and say that, oh, they're a very small minority, then the same argument can be used, like, if it's such a small minority, then they're not going to fuck up the cohesiveness that much. So
you go.
Why not just let them serve?
Yep,
So I mean, that's
true.
that's a counter that I can see making. But
yeah.
I would assume that then maybe the counter to that would be, even if it is something small, what if it's a small mistake in the most mission critical time?
Mm-hmm.
and that's the risk they're not willing to take. Like, okay, if it causes us, if it poses a small risk over here with something that's not as important, then or a mission that's not as critical, then it's not big of a deal. But say you're on the battlefield in Afghanistan and you say, all right, if we win this town back, that's gonna decisively shift the direction in which this war heads, and something happens because of cohesiveness within a unit. I think those are the points that they're very concerned about. Now, again, I am not making the case that I think this is what happens. Look, I know transgender people as you do, and I think they can serve as well, if not better, than anybody, right? But it's just like any business, any strategy. I want to mitigate risk.
Yeah, understood. And I think that's what a lot of people are why they're behind this, or at least the conservative folk. But as you said, yeah, I actually specifically know a transgender person. I have a friend that's transgendered in the military, and she's agreed to come on the podcast.
I'm
actually,
very excited for that.
Hopefully in the next couple weeks, couple months, maybe. I think she's coming back to the area around March. So if we don't have her call in or Skype in, we'll hopefully do it in person here in the studio.
Yeah, and I think what it would hashtag studio, hashtag bedroom. But I think that would be awesome, because I know a lot of people may hear my stance on things and think like I'm transphobic or anything like that. I would hope not, but I know in today's political and political climate, the general consensus is that if you even ask questions that you have legitimate concern or curiosity about, that is enough to call you racist, homophobic, xenophobic, whatever the phobic.
Yeah,
may
people
be.
don't even like talking about things.
Right.
That's why we're doing this.
This
right?
is exactly why we're doing this.
Yeah, people don't like talking about these things.
Right, and I think having her on will be a great showcase to show that we can sit here, ask these questions. And I have never met this person in my life. Mm-hmm. I guarantee they will not be offended. I think of anything, they'll actually be excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I think she will be.
I think they will, because they'll be like, oh, you're not some fucked up individual who just wants to bar me from certain places. No. You're a individual who has thought about and read about these things and is genuinely curious to see the other side of it. And she can present me with information that could possibly change my entire train of thought, or vice versa. And that's what I want to happen. I want to talk to her and show like look, I'm just curious. Though I know a lot of people in my life, these are sometimes conversations that people are not willing to have, or they don't want to, it's too touchy, you don't know how to approach them. And if somebody's knows what we're about and is willing to come on here, I'm like, yo, I'm all for that, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, we can make that happen. But definitely looking forward to it, because she would be willing to answer a lot of questions, and I know we would both have a lot just based on this ruling, as well as just her experience as a transgender person.
Dude, the questions in my mind are endless.
That might be
an
over 2 hour episode, maybe 3, 4 hours. Not 4.
Easily.
Not 4. That's too much. That's too much.
We're not
pushing it.
We're not the Joe Rogan experience. Not yet. But yeah, because I just have questions, because like we said, this is not a significant part of the population, but they are people who deserve our thoughts, who deserve equality, who deserve all of these things. But in order for people in the general public to make the best decisions in regards to somebody else's life, which is we put our lives in the hands of the decision makers, in order for people to make the best judgments about these things, you have to hear it firsthand from these people.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to be outraged about this right now, but at the same time, it's early, and as we've talked about before on the show, it's something that people just have to get used to in society, and when it becomes a norm, more so, then more things kind of open up. I mean, we were just talking about it earlier before the show about the Marines or the SEALs. One of the two organizations just started allowing women in the organization, or at least in battle roles, combat roles. So That's, I mean, it's
That
2019.
just
Yeah,
happened like a
exactly.
couple years ago.
It's like
That
women been a thing for a long
for a
time.
minute.
I feel like,
For a
a
minute.
transgendered movement has kind of is still kind of newly formed, and that being allowed and people accepting it in society it is kind of new. So it's going to be a little while. It's just kind of how it works in
And
America, at least,
as it should
because
be.
there's too many opinions.
Yeah.
It's not just one or another.
And I think change should take a long time. I'm one of those proponents of. I think the conservatives are very critical because progressives, for the most part, they latch onto this progressive, socially progressive idea, whatever it may be. It could be trans, it could be black. I don't care what it is. And progressives immediately want to push the issue forward without too much thinking about how things are going to change, what's going to shift. And conservatives are there to say, whoa, 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 we want change too, but can we taper this change? Can we slow it down and really address the issues that we might have when change happens this quickly? Like, look, everybody's for the same things, but you just can't push things through willy-nilly and not give it legitimate thought. And that's the same thing with this trans issue is I don't know many people. I don't, in my personal life, I don't know anybody, but in the general, I don't know people who like fuck trans people. We don't want to do anything. I don't know many people like that. All I know is a bunch of people saying, okay, yes, there are people born with gender dysphoria. But with that being said, and people who feel like they're not in the right body, the right skin, the right sex, okay, with that being said, where could this potentially lead? Because take, for example, Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who claims she feels black.
Oh yeah.
So, and
she's fun.
Again, these are not the exact same issue, but they're tangent, right?
Yeah, where now you can claim you feel a certain way, so therefore you are a certain way. Like, oh man, I don't know where I remember this from, but I heard or read or an old man that tried to compete in some type of youth sport activity, like a 60-some-year-old man, because he felt like he was in his teens or lower 20s. Yeah.
That's the exact
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Is that we're not saying that people are going to take advantage of this by and large, but enough people will where you have to consider it.
Yeah.
You just have to say, okay, let's say we say that if you are telling me that you feel this way, that I must appease you. What if I, a straight male, say, I feel like I should be able to change in the women's locker room? I feel that way. It's my right to feel that way. Isn't it a law that you have to appeal to what I feel?
No, I don't think it is.
No. I'm saying like, if it goes down that part, right?
Yeah,
so,
I got what you're saying.
So what do you do about those things?
Yeah, it's hard to say what you do in those situations, and it as we've talked about before on the podcast. There's just different, like the bathroom issue. There's different aspects of society that we still haven't really figured out yet necessarily, because the transgender community is so new, compared to all other types of communities and cultures within our society. But even in sports, how do you determine who competes against who when it's someone that's transitioned to a man or to a woman? It's hard to say. It's almost it always makes me think of Oscar Pistorius with the metal legs.
Poor little tank.
Yeah, same type of thing. It's like, and I've said this before on the podcast too. Like it's gonna have to be. We're going to have these same conversations when robotics are brought into sports more so. In the future, there's going to be advances and more people are going to have more things installed in their body or on their body. And we're going to have to figure out how to accept them or allow them in sports or a society, just like any other group, as transgender are going through right now.
I completely agree. And my thought process is, shouldn't we have a better grip on transgenderism and the concept in itself? Shouldn't we have a better understanding of it before we just start pushing it out? It's just like but
it's hard to understand if you can't ask questions.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
right.
It's hard to ask questions because people get offended just by questions.
Just by the question in and of itself.
Truth hurts.
Like Megyn Kelly.
People get okay. What about it?
Remember, Megyn Kelly got in trouble for saying, "What's wrong with blackface?"
She did.
But listen to what she said
Yeah,
in the
she was,
complete
she
context.
was questioning it.
She said I get the stereotypes that white people used to do and how offensive they were, and I know they were fucked up. But I'm saying if a white kid wants to honor Michael Jordan, why can't he paint his skin black to look like a black person?
Mm-hmm.
How else does a white person make themselves look like a black person if they're trying to genuinely mimic, like, oh, I respect this person,
Yeah.
and it's a Halloween costume. Now, if somebody's going around with the super dark charcoal shit with the purple lips, talking
Yeah.
about, hey, yo, so like doing race, that is racist. We
Yes.
understand that. But Megyn Kelly, simply for asking a question and saying, help me understand, not saying she didn't say anything fucked up. She simply inquired.
got fired, right?
She got fired,
Yeah,
bro.
she's done.
Her apology looked like a hostage situation.
Yeah, it
because
did.
she looked so confused.
Yeah.
She's like, yo, I'm sorry, but like I was trying to gain a better understanding.
Yeah, and they're like, you should have known already.
Like, what?
I mean, she was getting paid a lot of money.
I don't know.
Should have known already. But yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. It's you can't even ask a question. You can't even ask a question to gain the knowledge. You got to internet. You have to internet search everything, and that's the only way to gain knowledge now.
You have to have Google imprinted in your
Yeah,
brain.
because if you ask a question and you don't
It's
know,
a wrap.
you stupid motherfucker, you ignorant, racist, sexist piece of shit.
What color are your shoes? They're black, you fucking
Don't
racist.
you say black. Don't you say black.
These African American shoes, you mean? Dude, it trips me out, bro. And I hope it's like, okay, I want transgender people to have equal rights. I want all of that. I love people. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a people guy. But I can also be that guy while simultaneously being like, hey, can we have a better understanding of it before we just say, hey, everybody in the military, transgender, go for the military, you can have it. Of course, I want them to have access to the military, but since it is something that it's not the norm, I mean, I don't. Science can back me up. It's not the norm.
I would feel like that they could force the members of the military, like the higher up members, could force the other members, the ones that they're in charge of, to do some type of poll how they feel about this.
Yeah.
How the people that serve with the transgendered folks, how they actually feel about this, because that would be very telling in terms of not just having 9 fucking people vote and whoever has the more people on their side wins. Just in terms of the Supreme Court, how fucked up is that? That's how it is until
somebody does.
Isn't it a light? Yeah, and you know who the next one to go is?
Yes, sir.
She's on the
cusp,
she's
bro.
But I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say she's on like the liberal side, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Damn, we went in 2 very different directions.
I'm saying
that one.
she's on the liberal side, which already has only 4 members.
Yep.
And then when she dies, does Trump still get to appoint a member?
Yes, he does.
Oh man, she gotta go at least 2 more years. Damn. All the best, all the health, Ruth.
It's fucked up. We're mortgaging her life away, basically.
No, but seriously, I mean, it's not. I mean, who knows what the actual decisions will be and what will even make it to the Supreme Court, you know, to be decided on. But you got to think then. There's going to be, what it would be, 6 versus 3. Mm-hmm. That's even more lopsided. That's never going to, I mean, that's even harder to get back.
Yeah, look, I think
they got to take away that lifetime appointment shit. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's a little crazy. But even still, I'm not.
Did they review them ever?
I don't know. I don't think so.
What if they just start doing fucked up stuff in their life?
I think I'm not sure, but I assume there has to be a caveat in there. If you just start doing cocaine off of strippers' titties and shit, that you can possibly be removed. But anything short of that, I think you're good.
Supreme Court, I feel like you're above all that. Like you could do that and no one would care.
Dude. I mean,
no one would care.
That's enough to make me want to become a Supreme Court judge
I'm not sure you have the qualifications, but I also don't think there's any spots open until someone dies, like we said.
Yeah, I think it should be 4-4, you know, and I'm sure
there's 9, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You'd have to get somebody out of there.
Oh, no. My point still stands. I think you should take one off, and I think it should be an even number. It should be 4-4, and here's why. And I also think that when you have it even 4-4, there cannot be a standstill. That a verdict has to be made, because what it would do, it would force somebody to see the other side. So you keep it even, You take that. So because when you have an odd number, all you have to do is have one more of the opposing side, and that side is just pretty much always going to win. You keep it even, force a decision to be made. That automatically forces somebody to be like, okay, one of us has to do it. And then what it would do, it would make everybody say, all right, it may have to be me having to do it. So let me educate myself on the other side to say what would make me come over to the other side. It would make them in turn do the same thing. I think that would solve a lot of issues.
Wishful thinking that people could
Very
think
wishful
like that.
thinking. Very wishful thinking. I know. But I would assume since they're Supreme Court judges, they can fucking do that.
I was thinking something
Right?
different.
Like,
As
shit.
there's probably a pool of people that are qualified to be Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, very small.
I think there should be like a rolling or revolving door of them every year, just like a random lottery. Like you're not necessarily going to know what side of the aisle these people are coming from. There's just, draw a number out of a hat type thing each year. And then everyone else is just reserves for that year.
Okay,
Somebody
I can see
gets sick coming off the bench.
that. I can see
Treat it
that.
like a sports analogy.
I can see that. Let me say where I would give you some pushback. I think judges who are in the lower courts spend their time thinking about different issues than Supreme Court judges do. So that being said, they need that time in there. I'm not saying they need a lifetime appointment.
Oh, that's what I'm
not
saying.
saying that.
A bench.
They need a significant amount of time to spend on these very important topics that are going to determine the direction in which our country heads. So you need them to be thinking about those things for a really long fucking time.
Yeah, but they make decisions very quickly, so I don't.
Not necessarily, man.
In a lot of the cases, the decision's made within a year's time frame. I would think.
Sometimes, yeah, but sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I would hope that decisions took a longer time to make so that it demonstrates that these 9 supposedly smartest judges we have, I'm sure they're not the smartest, but a lot of people think maybe the smartest judges, there's a fair amount of time spent on the issues at hand to make the best decision possible. That's what you would hope. But I understand that's not happening, especially like we're getting back to it when you have 4 and 5. It's like, dude, we don't have to spend much time. This is ideologically how the 5 feel.
Yeah.
So we're already here.
That's why I feel like mostly what even makes it there that they decide on it based on what's on right and left. So they just go with what's check the box. That the form's already filled out for them. Yeah. This says the end of the article said that the federal judges earlier in January 2018, actually required the military to begin allowing the recruits. So it's only been a year that they started allowing people to be recruited that were transgendered. Yeah. And now they're stopping it right after that. Yeah. So I guess obviously Supreme Court overrules federal judges. So
I would think so.
They've but the federal judges have stopped a lot of the stuff he's tried to do, or his administration has tried to do, and these last couple of years.
There are people
at least not necessarily stopped. They have tripped it up.
Yeah.
For just a little bit.
Yeah, just enough. Just enough.
And then it normally goes through.
I wonder how people feel about the fact that the economy is doing really well when Trump is in office. For all the people who talk a lot of shit about Trump, the economy is doing pretty fucking well. So I don't know how people hold those two things in their head together, because people look at Trump the same way they look at religion. It's just either you're with it or you're against it. There's no nuanced view on Trump. I'm not going to say there's no, but there are very few nuanced views on Trump where it's like, okay, his rhetoric is terrible. He's a terrible public speaker. But can we look economically at what it's been like since he's been in office? And if the outcome turns out to be positive, those of us who are completely opposed to this individual, what's the argument then? Is it the argument of, oh, it's because of Obama? Well, what would you have said if Obama was in office? Would you have said it was because of who was before him, Bush? Right? So I'm just curious how the economy's doing well, and I just wonder how people who are like anti-Trump feel about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you define the economy doing well, though?
So one of the key indicators is unemployment, and check the numbers for unemployment. I don't want to misspeak, but unemployment numbers are pretty low. And that is one of the key. I mean, that's not even in general. People are like, what if we want to see a pretty good measuring stick for how well our economy is doing? Unemployment. If a lot of people are working, a lot of people are making money, then people are doing pretty well. And if unemployment is low, which I am guessing which I've seen it is under Trump, then what is so how do you combat that if you're anti-Trump? How
Well, this looks like it says because of the 380,000 federal employees who weren't working during most of January,
Mhm.
that counts as unemployment for January, and that would raise the unemployment rate by a point 0.2 percentage point. Uh, so that would actually be raising unemployment
Yeah,
for this year.
yeah, that was a political feud, but I mean those people are back to work now, at least for 3 weeks.
Yeah, for 3 weeks. Yeah,
At
who
least for
knows how
three
long
weeks.
that's going to go.
Yeah.
I just know that the stock market isn't necessarily doing all that great to start the year.
So for an econ major, I haven't been keeping up with the stock market um, that well, and I know that says a lot about me. But I mean, I'm interested to see how good or bad the stock market is doing. From what I last heard, again, did not see some significant crashes happening and just
I hope not.
pandemonium. You know?
I hope not.
Okay.
Global economic slowdown.
Uh,
That's not Trump's fault, though. I mean, it's a flurry of factors.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, so I'll take it back to the trans issue real quick. I just hope that cooler heads prevail, and I hope eventually there are a lot of people like we indicated, there are a lot of people on the trans activist side who I don't even think have trans people their best interests at heart. I think they have their own ideological issues that they're trying to push and using trans people as a conduit to get those issues pushed.
Okay.
What their goal is they want to temper free speech, and then they're using trans people as a conduit for that. So, oh, you said something negative about trans people. Oh, you're a xenophobe. You're a transphobe.
Yeah, I mean,
you
they're
know,
using a lot of people for that right now, but
Yeah.
that's definitely one of the
That's
main
one of
groups, I would think.
the hottest issues that
Yeah,
they're using,
it
right?
is.
And I would hope that those everybody has this kind of coming to Jesus moment and says that nobody's really trying to fuck trans people up or keep them from accessing anything. That all people are is curious, and that people just want to take precautions before you just start letting things fly willy nilly. That's people just want to go slow. I mean, look at change in your life, in your relationships.
Well, I mean,
you know.
especially if people are looking at it as gender dysphoria being a mental kind of issue, a setback that someone is going through.
Right.
So it's interesting to see where it goes from here based on that. And that, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to read a quick statistic. It
Yeah,
says,
sure, go ahead.
in roughly 80% of affected children, gender dysphoria resolves itself prior to puberty, meaning the children come to accept and feel comfortable with their biological sex. These children are called desisters. Most will become gay or lesbian adults.
Yeah, so
Right.
yeah, I mean,
So it's
you just got to let children go through what they're going through.
again when it's go slow. That's my whole issue is let's just take this in baby steps. I think that serves best for the transgender people who are going through it and for the general public.
But what about that just makes me think about new technologies being able to maybe, I don't know, supplant your consciousness or, just have a sex change, but maybe in the future do something like with the consciousness. But it just makes me think with all those technological advances, eventually people are going to want to choose whatever they want as early as they want, I would obviously it's up to a parent until a certain age, but you would think that would become available earlier and earlier as it becomes more normal in our society.
Right.
Things become cheaper, more available. I would think that would be one of them.
Yeah,
Just with all the advances we're currently experiencing.
yeah, but if you're allowing children to make these type of or even parents make these decisions earlier and earlier, if it says 80% of people grow out of it, then what happens to those 80% of people who've already made a decision that's irreversible?
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yeah. I mean, they're if it's irreversible at the time, yeah, can't go back, but maybe you can.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm no expert.
I look, I I'm no expert either, but forcing or enticing parents and children to make decisions based upon things that may change later in their life. We can let's get into that one. Let's put that a footnote in that one. Let's get into the one you were talking about. That one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
We'll put a pin in that one.
and,
we'll put a pin in that
and,
one.
and
We'll come back to the
kids
trans kids.
and gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
This is just something I read earlier this week about Japan. Japan, I guess their Supreme Court actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a Supreme Court as well. Top court. It's called top court. I don't know. Transgender. Shit. What am I trying to say? Trans people must be sterilized before changing gender in Japan after top court upholds ruling. So basically, in order to be considered one sex or the other, if you have to have the full, complete physical sex change. You can't just say, you're a woman when you're a man with whatever body part.
Right.
You can't just have certain surgeries to enhance certain body parts and not all of them. And they said the reasoning for the ruling was actually pretty interesting. Let's see what it was. No, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The court initially said the law was intended to prevent problems in parent-child relations, which could lead to societal confusion and avoid abrupt changes to society.
Yeah. I get it. And it also addresses some of the problems we were talking about earlier with how do we stop those men who are going to infiltrate women's safe spaces like changing rooms and bathrooms and things like that. They're trying to just make a law that we don't have to consider that, because to claim you are a transgender individual, you first must have cut your shit off or completely changed it to prove like, hey, I am this thing. So if you are a trans woman, if I'm going to give you access to predominantly women's spaces, you have to already have gone above and beyond to prove to me that you really want to be a woman. So that way, nobody can game the system and say, I'm a trans woman, get into a woman's locker room and rape a woman. They're trying to address those issues before they even have a chance of popping up. That's what I get from it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be how it is construed.
Yeah.
It looks like a couple judges, voted against it, so it looks like Japan obviously has their two sides of things as well, like the U.S. does. For some reason, that surprises me. I feel like it would be unanimous
in Japan.
I mean, it was unanimous to strike down this guy's trying to overturn the law, but the law was upheld in this case, but the law itself, when it was it was actually established 15 years ago.
Okay.
The law was put into effect in Japan, but it wasn't, voted for unanimously. So even back then, they were trying to, I guess, be a little progressive, but it seems that they're not necessarily ready for that as a society yet.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a very tough issue to grapple with, and especially considering how small of a population transgender people are. The norm is heterosexual male, heterosexual female, and then another rare part, but more predominant, is gay and lesbian, and then the rare of the rare is transgender, and people just don't know what to do with that. And part of it, I think, has to do with the fact that just like up until a few years ago, it wasn't acceptable to talk about gay and come out as being lesbian.
Yeah.
It's now acceptable to come out. So we're having a coming to Jesus moment with transgender, because I remember, I don't know how it was for you growing up, but I know when I was growing up, there were people who were obviously gay and lesbian,
definitely.
But would never in a million years
it wasn't even
come out.
I don't even know. Yeah, it wasn't even a thing for someone to come out at that time.
They would have got
maybe
fucking,
at the end of high school, and definitely in college. But
college for sure.
I don't know. It wasn't.
But high school,
it was.
And before that,
people are cruel.
Oh,
cruel.
I mean,
kids are mean.
I specifically remember. I specifically remember a guy in my class who was clearly gay. I was good friends with the guy, and I would try to have conversations hinting around like, yo, just just say it, dude. Like, we're homies.
Trying
Like,
to get him to tell you.
yeah, just say it. But he would always be talking about girls, but he would talk about them in a way that was clearly not a way a guy would
Oh
talk about
God,
girls.
like a 40-year-old virgin. Is
Yeah,
that what
like
it's called?
yeah,
40-year-old
40 version. Like, talk about how beautiful her hair was and shit like that, and it's just like,
virgin.
that's what you're looking at, bruh. Word. I ain't looking at her hair, cuz.
Noticed her hair. That's
Her
good.
nails? Oh, she got red nails? Bruh. I couldn't have told you that if you had a gun to my head, dude. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to, like, I wanted him to be, like, free with himself. But back in that time, man, it was almost pretty much a death sentence to come out and say, I'm gay. And not in some people in terms of actual physical, like, death, but more so in social death, a lot of physical harm from bullying and stuff like that, because he had to deal with the bullying and stuff because people knew he was gay. He just, if he had, it was bad just because we understood he was.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been even worse if he had come out and said it.
Yeah, it's just what I said. It takes time for certain groups to gain their respect and equal footing in society, and for a long time, I mean, obviously, as a black man, there, even now, there's not necessarily equal footing in a lot of ways in society, but it constantly takes time for things to happen, and you would hope for every group it gets better over time, just as people learn to accept more and more.
Right.
And I mean, at the bottom of this, it even says that over 70% of the respondents to the I guess the poll they put out asking the people of Japan, they supported stronger legal protections for the LGBTQ people.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to say.
And again, I think most people do. Where it starts becoming an issue with people, just like with anything, is when you start imposing it on people and taking over their civil rights. So, take for example, there was a case in, I believe it was Kentucky, where a kid said he was, it was a boy, felt he was like he was a woman, and wanted to transition, and because his parents wouldn't allow him, his kid got taken away from him.
Oh damn!
And that's when people start to say, this is why people become afraid of letting these issues just go willy-nilly. This is why there's such a constant pushback, because we see cases like that and we're like, okay, so you're telling me if I say yes to letting you be free, that eventually it's going to lead to you imposing what you are upon me? Like the people coming out and saying, if you're a heterosexual man who doesn't want to sleep with a trans woman, you're transphobic. Now you're imposing upon me. It's one thing for you to say, let me be free. It is another to say I must impose my freedom upon you. That is two different separate issues. And that's where people start becoming, hey, a little like, whoa, what the fuck? You're going to take my kid away because my boy wants to wear a skirt? And I'm like, fuck that. I'm his parents. I get to make those decisions until he's 18 years old. That is my decision.
Yeah, that's true.
You see what I'm saying? And then you gonna come and try to take my kid from me? Bruh, I will kill you if you try to take my kid from me.
I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that was
it happens. And if we can figure out a way to prevent things like that from happening, then I think people will be more willing to be like, all right, you know what? Let this trans issue, I mean, even though they still are, like, let's go forward with this. But until you address those key issues, I just think it'll just be a lot of contention amongst people.
Yeah, I still don't see the huge deal with any of it at all. I don't think I mean, we've gotten to the bathroom thing before. I don't think that's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. And then most of the protections that trans people are asking for to serve in the military, all those things are based on people not being willing to change and be comfortable with other people. And it's just like, why do you care? It's not about you. It doesn't involve you. So why do you care? That's just always been my opinion. Like if something does not affect you in a direct way, if it doesn't impede on your happiness, why do you care? Why do you even have an opinion on it? Not you specifically, you in terms of everyone.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree more. And I always try to check myself, and I always try to question myself and say, hey, are you concerned about this out of genuine concern for the public and people in general, or are you questioning and concerned about this because you are somewhat like disgusted by it morally, or there's some personal slight against these people that you have? I always try to do my due diligence to say, am I in some way myself transphobic? I always ask myself that. And honestly, the answer I keep coming to is no.
Oh yeah, I'm not definitely not saying that you are, or saying that there's only those two sides.
Mm-hmm.
You accept it or you are transphobic.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are people that do believe that though. I mean, to accept it is one thing. To not understand it is also another thing. I mean, you can be on many different sides of this just based on your amount of information that you have.
Of course, and you're right that men taking advantage of the loopholes in transgenderism may not be that many right now, but I'm saying just imagine we do loosen the slack on that. Immediately you're going to get an influx. Just like, I hate to always use this example, Catholic Church. Once pedophiles saw, oh, I can get away with this being in this position.
Yeah.
It's
saying
not,
they'll flock to it.
It's not that Catholicism creates pedophiles. It's pedophiles flock to Catholicism.
Yeah, you're saying that they'll flock to bathrooms.
Exactly. That's all they'll do. That's so what happens is most Catholic priests are good, decent people, but
Yeah,
pedophiles see an opportunity and they say, "Oh, if I can somehow infiltrate my way into this community and commit my sins within this, I'll be protected."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump out on a limb here and guess that if you loosen the slack on the spaces between the safe spaces for women and men, that a lot of men ears are immediately going to perk up and say, "Oh shit, I just got to claim I'm a woman and I can get access to any woman's safe space." Oh, say word, I'm with it.
Yeah, but
a lot of men are going to do that.
That's the same people, like if you're safe space argument, that's the same people, on that side normally are the same people arguing for safe spaces on campuses and things like of that nature. So it's one thing to save one group and not save another, quote unquote, just in terms of their comfort level.
Here's my
And
distinction.
that's what it all comes down to me, is the comfort level of how you feel, how other people make you uncomfortable. Just,
Here's my distinction. There's a difference between safe space ideologically and emotionally and a safe space physically, because we know that men, just by nature, we are stronger than women on average, not even on average, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So just a man being a strong enough man being around those women can completely take advantage of them. And your example of the safe space in college campuses, that's ideological and emotional safe spaces. I don't give a fuck about your ideologies.
No, but
and I don't give a fuck about your feelings.
I think those are also physical safe spaces because they don't want to be confronted by other people physically.
That's ideological. Those are that I don't think it's when
they're literal, but they're literal physical spaces.
Yes,
where people can not come to confront you about your beliefs and then maybe turn into a physical altercation.
No, because a lot of those same people want to start physical altercations. If you've seen the videos.
So you're saying that safe spaces are just about you can only come in here if you think a certain way.
Yes.
I don't agree with that. I think a lot of them were started because there were physical altercations on the brink of happening or happening.
Completely disagree. Because okay, just from what I have seen, the information that I have been presented, that these same people, when you try, because I have not seen anybody say, "I'm afraid of you physically assaulting me." From everything that I've seen, the videos and the evidence that I've researched is, "I'm afraid of you challenging me ideologically and saying that what I believe may be wrong." And then
isn't that what the transgender people are doing to people that have your classic traditional beliefs?
Elaborate.
Challenging them ideologically. Challenging their beliefs ideologically.
Yeah, sure they are, but I'm saying that there needs to be a safe space for women. I'm saying that we shouldn't allow men who are imposters to infiltrate those safe spaces for women, because men are for the most part physically superior, and if you allow a man into those spaces, he will run amok.
Well, I
There's
guess we're getting back into this then. So, what? So you have to have a full sex change then to go into a bathroom.
yes.
Well, then how do you determine that?
Look, so it's like this.
It's not possible
So okay,
without assaulting someone.
so this, I mean, of course you can't do a pre-screening going into a bathroom, but if you do go into a bathroom and you do get caught, you cannot say I feel like a woman, so therefore I'm allowed in here.
What
So
do
you
mean?
can get off.
If you get, yeah, no, I mean it's assault whether you're a woman or you're a man.
And but this is what I'm saying. In order to prevent, so that men do not even feel that they can go in there in the first place, they need to know that there is no escape if they get caught. Because what I'm saying now is that if you allow men to enter those spaces, if they get caught, they can say, I'm transgender, I feel like a woman. So they have a loophole to get out of any criminal conviction that can then occur. But if you
Well, not
take,
now. The ruling is against them. I'm pretty sure.
yes, but so right now that is not the case yet. But I'm saying this is why we should taper the change and do it very slowly and very methodically, so we can prevent those type of situations. That's how I'm approaching it. I'm not saying that there's like a some type of laser that you can scan somebody and see if they had a sex change. No, but people will feel empowered if they know they got a backup plan. If they go in there and some woman screams help and there happens to be a cop around the corner, he could be like, man, I'm transgender. I feel like a woman. But that cop will be, in this climate today, a cop will be like, well, all right, get out of here. And I'm saying
You're just saying
that,
if they walk in, not if they're actually assaulting someone.
yes, but I'm saying yes, they shouldn't even be allowed to walk in.
No, I understand that, but you're
Right.
saying in this example,
Mhm.
this person assaulted the woman in the bathroom or no?
It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it does matter. Just walking in, yeah, if you yell to the cop that there's a man in this bathroom, but if it's someone that is transgender, that is a woman now,
Yes.
then yeah, they'll probably let them stay in there. But yeah, if you're assaulting someone in a bathroom, that's completely different.
So this is what I'm saying. Unless you can walk in there if you have fully transitioned.
Yeah, but you're never going to be able to tell that.
It's not about being able to tell that. That's irrelevant.
Well, then what's what's preventing them from going into the bathrooms then?
There's nothing. Okay. So the idea is what prevents them from going in the bathroom. The idea that unless I can demonstrate, say I do get arrested, unless I can demonstrate that I had a full transition that allowed me access to this bathroom, then anything, if a woman thus screams, this person looks like a man, why is he in there, without having done anything to her, the cop can say, okay, or the judge, when it gets to court, can say, oh, you've transitioned, we show you've made an effort to become a woman, no charges pressed. But if that same scenario happens, a woman screams, there's a man in here, and when it's taken to court, there's no sex change, no proof that this man has made any effort to be a woman, that motherfucker needs to go to jail.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disputing that.
Yeah.
But I think you have this fantastical idea of these situations that don't actually happen, that
They do.
that aren't a huge deal.
And here's what I'm saying. They're not a huge deal now because if as a man you walk into a woman's bathroom, there are consequences.
No, if you've transitioned, then you can walk in.
Yes.
But you don't have to transition a certain amount to be there. You can transition however much you want and then be in that bathroom however you see fit.
You must have transitioned enough to a woman not think you're a man.
Yes, but it also depends on the person that's in the bathroom with you. It depends on the woman. She could ask you a question and be completely comfortable with you being in there if you're a transgender woman.
I don't think so.
You don't think that they go into those bathrooms all the time?
I do think they do, but I think the ones that do and there's no issue have fully transitioned. And I think and again, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that 9 times out of 10, when a transgender woman walks into a woman's bathroom, they ain't trying to do shit. And I'm saying that 9 times out of 10, when this shit occurs, that nothing happens, there's no harm, there's no foul. What I am saying is this, that if you then loosen the grip because nothing is happening now,
Hmm.
you will allow the environment for more things to happen because people will feel empowered that they can have equal access to these places and have an excuse if they were to get caught. But yes, transgender people walk into bathrooms now, nobody does anything. But like I said, if me or you walks into that and tries to claim that, we will get arrested and charged as we should be.
I don't have much to say. I don't necessarily agree with your side, so
Yeah, no, I get it.
can't really.
I get it. It sounds like I have pretty old school views about this, but in reality, I don't think I do because I want truly transition both men and women to have access to the bathrooms that they feel the most comfortable
Because
using.
it seems like you're on this side, you're on the side of the outrage culture, but on the other issues, you're on the side of the non, like, people being outraged is offensive.
So explain.
You seem to be very outraged by this topic, but with other topics we've talked about, you have complained or insulted the outrage culture.
I'm not outraged. I'm just simply saying, whoa, let's slow down. I am not outraged at all. Like I said, I cannot be, I don't know how more so I could advocate for the LGBTQ and whatever other consonants and vowels you want to throw in there. I do not know how much more and what more I need to do. My best friend is a lesbian. Like, I don't know how else. And I know I hate the best friend. Like, I know that shit sounds, I get what that sounds like, but I don't know how more so I could be for them while simultaneously being like, hey, when I have thought about this, here are a few issues that I think may arise, which is what I think causes some people to be hesitant. But when those people are hesitant, they're not really thinking it through. But when I think it through, I'm like, hey, have you guys thought about this? Now, how do we address those issues when they arise? That's all I'm saying.
As the same issue with a different group of people with a few caveats, and we're doing the exact same thing we do as a society with every single new thing that comes along, which is being afraid of it, just easing into it basically, and not fully accepting people for who they are.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. I could definitely see that. And again, I lean towards, not lean towards, I am for give these people rights, protect these people under the same laws, give them freedom. But freedom does not mean that you get just free reign of the world.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you see what I'm saying? So, and I'm saying with that freedom comes responsibility, not only for them, but to us as well. So if we see loopholes that can be taken advantage of, we must address those. And I'm of the thinking that, yes, that typically when we see new, that we're usually, kind of iffy about it. But I think something happens when it becomes between men and women because
The sex aspect of it.
yeah, because there's an inherent evolutionary difference, right?
I mean, the same issue came up. I mean, there's a lot of people that still have issues with gay people, but
Yeah.
the same issues came up when gay people were trying to get the right to marry or do whatever they wanted. The same as any other straight heterosexual person. It's the same. It just, to me, it seems like the same shit, different day.
Yeah, no,
thing.
I can get that. And again, I would, when, let me try to hash this out without sounding stupid. When a gay man is gay, he's still pissing in a dude's bathroom.
Yeah, no, this is, like I said,
You know what I'm saying?
it's the same thing with a few caveats. Like there's new issues each time that arise. I mean, with gay people, it's the first time we had to deal with, two people of the same sex marrying each other, which went against all biblical sayings and values and things that people hold dear to themselves.
Yeah.
And
See, but I'm not even arguing from that point
no,
of view.
I know.
Right?
It's just that's one of their special caveats when it came their time to be persecuted for certain things.
Yeah, and
But it just happens. It's just history repeating itself, and it does it over and over and over again. And just like I said, after trans people, there's gonna be another group.
Sure.
My guess is robots of some kind.
Probably.
So that's
But here's my thing. I would hope everybody who's listening to me, the two people that are, would see that this isn't ideological. These are tangible, real things that I'm considering. I'm not trying to say but the Bible, but we've been doing this for X amount of years. Why we should we stop doing this? Or I don't believe in this. This is not faith based. This is not ideal based. This is simply based in here. Yes, I'm for those changes. And just like everything else, when we make those changes, can we stop assuming that this will just be an all out good? Nothing is an all consuming good. Nothing in this world exists that is just straight good. Nothing consists that's straight bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, so where we see those pitfalls, can we do our due diligence to address those first? Because it actually benefits trans people in the end. So that if we could say, yes, let's go forward with this, but let's add these caveats here so nobody games the system. Because when those people do game the system, who's going to get blamed? It's going to be the trans people.
Yeah.
Not me, not you, not the people who are saying, but what about this? I'm not going to receive any of the flack for it. It will be trans people like, see, motherfucker, this is what we're trying to tell you trans people the whole time. That's what they're going to do. And I'm saying, so to prevent that from happening, to give them the most access, whatever, let's at least see the pitfalls where they may arise and do our best to address them.
Understood.
Yeah. And that brings me to another point.
Yeah. And the last part about trans, I guess.
Yeah. Transgender kids. That's an even stickier one. The trans issue in and of itself is a pretty sticky one, but when it comes to transgender kids, that's a tough one to talk about. Because what do you do when you have a little boy or a little girl who says, I don't feel like a little girl, I feel like a boy, or I don't feel like a little boy, I feel like a girl? With the advances in technology, we have what it takes to prevent boys from, maturing, and the same from girls, and we can treat them with all these hormones and stuff to start transitioning them to whatever sex they say that they feel like. And as I was saying earlier, like, hold on. I mean, I feel like this is one of the areas where it's like, definitely hold the fuck on, dude.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
Dude, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and I've read a lot about this stuff, I don't think anybody in this world knows enough to truly take a stance and say, scientifically, this is what we know.
No, it's not that far along yet, but
no.
It's almost like we're just experimenting with people.
That's like, man.
They should. This would be a really hot take.
Let's go. Let's get it, man. You know me. I say some reckless shit on here.
We gotta find some animal we really don't give a fuck about, and just start doing some tests on
monkeys.
Shit. Like, god damn it,
fuck them monkeys.
There's a lot of monkeys, right? Nah, I mean, I like
they strong. They strong, bro.
God, no. You know what we really need is some people just step the fuck up and get some tests done. Like, go through some trials.
Oh,
like,
you're saying individuals?
Yeah, we'll have like superheroes, mutants, crazy. I mean, it's gonna happen. People are gonna Honey, I Shrunk the Kid type shit. Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
We could do homeless people.
Oh God, that's like Bhagwan and his clan out here,
just straight up immigrating people.
Just using them out here.
Or it's like, okay, or this is, I know it's weird. I was gonna say death row prisoners, and then people like, oh my God, you can't, dude. Why do people get up in arms about death row prisoners when we're about to kill them?
If you can do like assisted suicide now,
right? You
should be able to decide whether you want to do some medical trials, whether it's humane or not. It's like, okay, fuck, this gets into something I wanted to talk about, and it kind of goes along with this, I guess. It's just like, all right, we all have our own body.
Yes.
That's the one thing that we have and hopefully can control.
Yes.
But there's a lot of laws, say, abortion laws. That's just one, for example, where someone can tell you what to do with your body, or even a drug law, like outlawing certain naturally occurring substances and saying you can't put these in your body if you want to. It's such a slippery slope that we go through, and it's so odd that we have people make those decisions for us on a whole. It's like, yes, please tell me what I should do with my body. And like, no, don't. You shouldn't vote for anything that's like that. And I don't care what side you think that's on. It's just how I view having one thing for, hopefully 70, 80 years,
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to do what the fuck you want with it.
True.
I just heard that, this is a little off topic, but there's a guy that put out the blueprint for a 3D printed suicide machine. Yeah. You can 3D print a suicide machine now.
What is a suicide machine?
It you 3D print it and it kills you somehow. I feel like it is through suffocation of some kind. I don't really know. I try not to read too far into it, but I was just reading that the guy developed it, and there's certain countries where that's legal. You can commit suicide or help someone do it in a humane way if they want. I mean, shit. If you're, if you have
already, right?
and if you have a disease, if you are in pain, if you just want to end it, there's numerous countries that have it ready to go.
Dude.
Yeah, but it's just part of like what we're saying with even transitioning kids. It's almost like these medical experiments that we're allowed to do now. There's certain ones that are okay, certain ones that aren't. This one should be one that is not, but it seems to be one that's up for debate. And just looking through the article you had, I didn't even know that, like, even as far back as 1985 there were people transitioning, because this said a 1985 Harvard graduate
down a little bit.
Yeah, right here. 85, a transgender
Dr.
Harvard graduate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very interesting that people would want to. I mean, I know you've researched it a little more, so if you want to go into.
Yeah, no, there is no scientific. Excuse me. There's no scientific consensus on medically transitioning children and when you should start, how you should do it. There's just no consensus amongst anybody about it yet. We're going into this treating children as, like you said, as if they're test subjects. That we're just going to be like, okay, we'll transition this one. We won't transition this one. We'll talk to this one.
This one's going to be Wolverine.
This one's going. This one, and
got Cyclops over in the corner.
Right. And I'm just, and again, the statistics that I read earlier, roughly 80% of affected children, gender dysphoria resolves itself prior to puberty, meaning the children come to accept and feel comfortable with their biological sex, which means if you, for 80% of children that say, I feel like a girl at 8, or I feel like a girl, or I feel like a boy at around between the ages like 8 and whenever puberty hits, there is an 80% chance that child will later be comfortable with the original sex that they were, which can also mean that, hey, this kid is going to regret making that transition. And I mean, dude, let me ask you, just in general, how confident were you in your decision making at 21?
Ooh, not very confident.
Bruh.
Well. Looking back, not very confident.
But I mean, when
at the time,
you felt, of course.
Oh, so
you're
confident.
21. You're
so
21.
confident.
You feel like you know everything there is to know, right? And so if at 21, shit, I'm 29, and still when I'm making important decisions, it takes a long time and a lot of thought in order to make the most sound decision.
For sure.
And then you're gonna let an 8-year-old kid who wakes up one day and says, "Hey, mom, I feel like a girl," and then you're gonna take this same kid and medically transition them irreversibly.
And kids already say the darndest things. I know that. that was the show Bill Cosby hosted, actually. Yeah. Bill.
Shots out, not Bill.
Yeah, no shout out to
Bill.
No
shots out for Bill.
But yeah, I mean, kids already say wild shit all the time that you can't necessarily trust. And if they're very impressionable too. I mean, that goes with the whole nature versus nurture, whether some kids are more susceptible to gender dysphoria based on, I don't even know. One day maybe we'll find out that gender dysphoria is something caused to where, the female's body makes the brain of a female fetus and the body of a male. Just like, something crazy like that. I'm not saying that would ever be a fact, but just that could happen in the future, and then we obviously look at it in a whole different way. But right now we don't have that fact, and you can't just go on the word of a child. Yeah. There's no possible way we could ever listen to an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old. I know some of them are smart, but it's really something that you should wait till their body develops and then they can decide, because they're never going to regret having a decision to make later on. Yeah. Like just having a decision, because sometimes, like you said, it could be irreversible. There's
sometimes.
See, yeah, I don't know.
All the time.
I don't know enough about the surgery.
It's irreversible.
Because fuck, if you can cut your dick off and make it into a hole of some kind, maybe you could get some more skin and cover the hole up, put a dick back on. I don't know, man. If they can do that, like if they can do it one way, I don't see why they can't do it the other way. I don't. That's just how my brain works. I don't get it.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like testosterone blockers, and God, stuff like that is irreversible.
If you go in one way and then try to come out the other way, like your body's just like, oh, roller fucking coaster. I got like 25 years and then I'm dead.
It's like,
especially if you start that early on, your body's being thrown for a fucking loop.
Yeah, it's like
going no way that's good.
It's
for
like
a child.
Driving in a car going 100 miles an hour and then immediately putting it in reverse.
You know what's good for a child? Therapy.
Yep.
Maybe some type of therapy about gender dysphoria or how they're feeling. Just talk it out, and support from their parents, but not in the way of having medical procedures that could then in turn give them some type of other mental disorder, depression, anxiety, what have you.
The fact that we're even considering this, it's shocking to me. And like I said, there are cases where people have refused to give their children these treatments and have had their children taken away from them. And okay, again, what makes this so difficult is because it's based on a feeling, and it's not based on something that we can it's tangibly touch. You feel like a woman, you feel like a man. And what do you do about kids that feel like astronauts? Kids that feel like Ronaldinho or Michael Jordan? What do you do about that? You say, oh, that's dope, but let grow. See what you like, what you don't like. Do you still feel like being a basketball player? Oh, you're 6'6", go for it. Do you still want to be a doctor now instead of Michael Jordan? Go for it.
Yep.
We understand that these things are so malleable. A child doesn't say if you said, I feel like I have no legs, and you had legs, I'd be like, yo, you need to go to therapy, my guy.
Yeah.
Because I see you got legs.
Get some help.
And I think
That's a good idea.
Get some, like, you word, you ain't got no legs. So
one of my friends told me that one time when he was driving.
He said he ain't feel like he ain't. Bruh, I'd have punched him in the throat.
We had just finished smoking. It was on the way to homecoming, high school.
Fuck.
Yeah, I was scared, but I was high too, so I wasn't really scared.
Fuck, nigga, sometimes you gotta race.
hey, hope you got that wheel. You got hands, right? Just steer it straight.
And that's my whole thing. It's like when you operating based off of feelings, bro. And I understand feelings are very important, right? Because this is the day and age where I don't know how your father did it, but my feelings were not acknowledged. And I get it. We got to acknowledge people's feelings now. But look, just know that there's a generation growing up who nobody gave a fuck about their feelings, and we're doing all right.
Yeah, but I would also say the kids now, their feelings are, and we already did the kids episode, but their feelings are more so based on what they see online and on TV and stuff. But that's how kids, their views are formed. And that, even so, maybe, I don't know, do you know if there's more cases of gender dysphoria now than ever? I would assume. But maybe it's okay to report it now, so there's more. What I would think is that, more people see these famous transgender people. They see these people that are getting all this attention.
Oh, yep. There has a study been done.
And there's kids that maybe want that attention and they want to go through it. And hey, maybe some of those kids do feel that way and go on to end up being transitioning into the other sex. But that's for them to decide later when their brain is developed and they can make those decisions. And as we've talked about, I think 25 is probably the limit for where you can actually make a decision like that. But hey, 18, legal, do what you want.
Yeah, there's actually, speaking of, there is a study that shows the effect of the popularness of transness, that This lady did a study. Her name was Lisa Sparks. Not Lisa Sparks. That's a WNBA player. Shit. But Lisa something. And she had
Lisa Lobo,
I,
also a WNBA player, I think.
yeah, not her. But she did, and she actually refuses to speak on it now because she got such pushback from it that her study showed that there is a when somebody, especially amongst younger children, when they see a popular friend of theirs claim that they're trans, that more people around them start claiming that they're gay, trans, lesbian, or things of that nature. That when
I
people are
mean, all right.
young and that impressionable,
Let me ask you a
that
question.
happens. Yeah.
All right, when you were a kid,
hmm
if there, just saying, like if there was, if the coolest person you knew, not in saying this happened to you or would have,
hmm
but if the coolest person you knew happened to be trans, happened to be gay, happened to be just something completely different than what you're used to,
hmm
you might end up like if that was the person you hung out with all the time, it could, that impression that they give you could then,
You're at least gonna adopt behaviors,
I
attitudes,
mean,
styles.
yeah, I know people that grew up with just a mom and sisters, and they,
Very effeminate.
yes, it
hmm
can happen. And then
hmm
there's other people that aren't, that they're more super protective and they had to be the man of the house type
hmm
person. But it just all depends on, that's where it comes back to nature versus nurture. And that's why I always say it's a little bit of both. It's got to be. It's got
Of
to be
course.
like your
No
genes.
reasonable person would say
Everybody's
otherwise.
everybody's different.
Yeah.
But we're also very the same in ways. But then again, everybody's parents are also very different.
Yeah.
And it's not even just them, it's their environment. And that their environment could lead to these impressions that make them want to transition before they really know what to think about that.
We're 99% similar, but our experiences are 100% different. And that's what makes the issue so tough. Is we know we feel the same things, we see the same things. All of those things we're biologically the same, but every single one of us on planet Earth, I will never stand in your two shoes, Andrew, because it's physically impossible. You can never be sitting or standing somewhere and I occupy that same space at the same time. It is a physical impossibility. And here's what I think happens, right? When it comes to feelings and when it comes to social movements, because social movements are subject to change and they're not bound to reality so much, we interpret that to the world and we act as so what we have created socially is made up, so maybe reality is made up, so we approach it the same way, but we're like, okay, yes, socially we have established something, but there is still a fucking reality. There is still tangible things that are just fundamentally real.
Yeah.
And people are refusing to acknowledge that. Like when we're getting to the issue that, hey, there's no men and women are the same. What?
Yeah, no, we've discussed that before. That's definitely not the case.
What? And that is permeating all the way down to adults who should know,
and I guess
way better,
yeah,
are letting their kids transition.
The truths that you're talking about are that adults should know better and that kids are dumb as shit. No offense, kids, but they're dumb. They don't have they may know facts and book stuff based on their education level, but they don't have life experience. It's not gonna happen. And yes, I said book stuff. That sounded super smart. Book stuff.
What did Louis C.K. say? He said a 50-year-old garbage man knows way more than a 25-year-old kid who's got 3 PhDs, who spent his life learning 3 things.
Yeah.
That garbage man has got a hand job by a minor.
Yeah.
Not a minor, a minor.
Guy with the hat with the light on it.
Dude, but you see what I'm saying?
Caves.
There's just certain things you can't know, and it just takes fucking time. And every adult knows that. So even with
why are we giving kids so much fucking credit?
It blows
we weren't
my
given any
effing
credit,
mind, bro.
Because I was always. It's now like, well, we're getting back into kids. We should have talked about this on the kids episode.
Yeah, we should have.
It's just like you feel as if kids don't believe in adults anymore like they used to.
Yeah.
So I used to think that adults had everything figured out. Mm-hmm. They don't. I'm an adult and I do not. And now I realize that my parents did not. But kids now, it's almost like they see through the veil. They know that we don't know shit.
I don't think
That's the problem. Everything's too much out there. People have social media now. They're seeing adults type. They're seeing our president type shit, and they're like, he's 70. He's an adult.
Yeah.
He's a senior citizen. That's different than an adult. And
that might be some of it.
It's not just him, but it's got to be a lot of the exposure of everything. There's nothing secret anymore.
I could agree. And yes, I think that's true in part, but I think it's just a general disconnect that
no human to human connection anymore.
That and just kids don't understand that adults can be in charge and still not be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You can know something and not all things.
Right. And that what they know is enough
Ooh.
to tell you that what you know is dumb as fuck. So yes, they might not be omnipotent beings, but they certainly know enough to you know what I'm saying? But they certainly know enough to steer you in the right direction. And there's a reason, things have been going the way they have been going for X amount of time. Case in example, capitalism, democracies. People shit on these things as if we chose this shitty thing on purpose. What if this is literally the best thing we know how to do? This is the best idea we have. So I think people need to start. Kids, it feels like
there's been other ones, but they haven't worked as well.
Right.
Although, what's China? They're communists.
They're
right up, if not higher than us in a lot of areas,
except for living.
They do. Well, it's
which is probably the most important thing.
Give and take.
I mean, yeah, but it's just for the 1%.
Communism's more about the equal playing field, right? The living on the same plane.
Pretty much.
And they have smog. That's not cool.
Yeah.
But it's like if
people work for $1.
They have a lot of smart people though.
They do.
Their military is probably just like right up with ours, I would think too. Close, because that's obviously the one thing we brag about more than anything in the country is
we spend more than the next 8 combined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got all their funding well before the shutdown happened.
Yeah,
they were really the only people that did.
Yeah.
But that's I would think that they're pretty much the same. This right here, I don't think they would have any part of. I'd be interested to see what China's stance is on transgenders.
I mean,
transgender kids. Excuse me.
It's going to be whatever the leader says it is. That's how communism works, right? Whatever he says his stance on transgenderism is.
Fearless leader.
Yeah. So, and getting back to my point, it feels as if the younger generation thinks that they know more in how to do things better than the older generation, where I feel and I think that's true for every generation. But I mean, correct me if you felt differently. I always still thought that even though I thought I knew how to do some things differently, I just had these moments where I was like, damn, actually my dad does know better. My mom does know better.
Yeah. But you couldn't say it. You couldn't tell him that.
I mean, I never told him.
Oh, fuck
but
no.
you just understood, right?
I hope people do that with me too, because I know there's times where I know I'm right, but then I do that with other people still. Now you don't give them credit, especially it's mostly with people you're closest with. I think.
Yeah.
Because normally you want to kind of continue the conversation with people that you don't know, and by giving in a little bit.
Yeah.
But with people fuck that. You give your real opinion up front.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It doesn't matter.
And so I'm just worried that kids have no direction. God damn, I sound so old saying that shit.
Wait, say that again?
Kids have no direction. I just feel like there's no
washed.
They feel like the thing that's dictating most of what they think is Twitter, Instagram, and all that is. I bet if you take a poll of what the average age of a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook user is, it's not older than fucking 40. I can guarantee you that. It's somebody in their late 20s, mid 30s, and these are the ones who are dictating what everybody else is thinking, feeling, and saying. And I'm like, yo, you just don't know enough.
Follow us at pod_instigators. Just had to get that in there.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I don't want to keep ranting about kids these days, but
that's fine. I mean, that's what we're doing, right? Just ranting about kids.
Yeah, somebody's got to say it. Somebody's got to say it.
They have no direction, kids these days.
But okay, so let me tie all of this back in
Okay.
and wrap a nice bow on it.
Okay, cool.
I hope that the trend is not leaning towards, if I have a kid who's like 8, 10 years old and feels like the opposite sex that they were born as, I hope that the trend is not leaning towards that if I don't immediately start medically transitioning to them to the sex that they feel they are, that my kid would get taken away from me. I hope.
Yeah, I hope
that
it
is
doesn't
my
progress
greatest,
to that either.
that's my greatest fear.
I wouldn't think it would, but
And let's even take it a step back further. I would hope that parents begin being smarter and doing more research on this topic and stop doing things because they're social trends. Oh, my kid feels like my little boy feels like a little girl. So you know what I did? I got her medically transitioned. Like, and look at me. It's kind of, parents are using their kids to virtue signal. And I hope people get smarter about that.
What happens when you're able to pick everything about your kid though, before they're even born? Do you think any of these issues will arise from that? Say you get a designer baby, and it's, you know, girl, boy, whatever you want it to be, and no diseases, no nothing. It's gonna be 6 foot, you know, whatever you want it to be. But then the, you know, baby comes out and it's like, oh, it's supposed to be a man.
I think as long as you are unable to manipulate the brain on a neurological level, you're always going to have those issues. That's what we
need. We need just like a rescan. It's like, oh shit, this one they got printed with the wrong software. Let's rescan it.
Unless you have something down to that minute level.
Let me uninstall, Control Alt Delete. Let's restart, update, and then we're good to go.
Hey, can y'all
kind of like what we did to start this podcast today.
Can y'all restart these new batch of babies right here? All these ones gay right here. Restart them. you got female brains and male bodies and all these. People are gonna be pissed. Hey, who Jack? He taking a smoke break?
No, but what happens when that comes out and then you gotta come back with your baby and a receipt? Like, you're just like, come on, man.
This is the second time I've been back here with my baby.
I filled out the card right. I filled it out. I put all the options.
So and again, you know what? Here you go. Let me tell you, let me even prove to you why, even if you could choose the software, people who are gay are going to choose their kids to be gay. So even if you could choose the software down to that level, if you could get that minute about it,
so?
as long as we are the ones choosing the program, people are going to, some people, even straight people, might choose their kid to be gay. Because what if you're
all right,
what
so
if you're,
this is how I would expect it to work. However, if we take, is that on the census? Is your sexuality on the census?
I'm not sure.
It's happening next year, so
I'm not 2020.
We'll see.
Well, maybe.
But I would think that eventually we could come up with the numbers of who's gay, straight, transgender in the world. You
Probably
know,
could get a pretty
United States, maybe at least.
Yeah.
And then from there, you kind of have, if we have these designer babies, you have a percentage chance of who's born and what their sexuality would be, whether it be straight, gay, gender dysphoria, transgenderism. I don't know
so
how
you're taking
you put
the decision out of their hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, no, maybe you could choose what you want them to be, but you could also just say, okay, roll the dice, whatever it would happen to be in the normal birth rate. That's what I would think. If you can get to the point where we're printing out babies, you can come up with that algorithm. I mean, that's simple.
But then it's a little counterintuitive, though, right? Because if you get that granular, why would you leave it up to chance at that point? Because the whole point
that one doesn't seem as important to me.
The whole point up until that point is to get rid of chance.
But that one, right? That part doesn't seem as important to me. The sexuality of the baby is, all right. I'm just in my head. I'm thinking,
I was about to say,
if we're that far ahead
yeah.
in society that we can print out babies one after another on sheets of paper, that people will be more accepted in all walks of life at that point. So that, you know, it's, I don't give a shit if my kid happens to be gay or what have you.
Haven't there been examples of people being able to choose who they want to live and who they want to die, and how'd that work out? They weren't more accepting. Oh, I mean, Hitler. Let's use that. He said, I'm going to choose who I want to live and who I want to die.
Well, that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about choosing your baby's sex.
I'm extrapolated to something larger. And this is all I'm saying. When you give people the chance to choose, from what I've seen, they don't get more open. They get more specific. So when people say I want X to live and X to die, it's I want somebody who looks, thinks, feels like me to live. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah, but
That's
we're
just
not,
how we evolved.
Yeah, but we're not choosing people to die here in this situation.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
not
designing your baby. You're not choosing. Are you saying that every option you don't choose is someone dying?
No. I wasn't trying to. That was maybe it was a bad example, but what I was trying to get you to say is that the more when you give people those options, they will choose more things that are important to them and not say, oh, I'm gonna become more accepting of transgender, gay, and whatever. They're gonna become more accepting of whatever it is they are. So which is why I say if you have a gay person and then they have an option to choose a straight or a gay baby, they're just gonna choose a gay baby. That's what they know. And I said even straight people will choose gay because, take for example, some fathers don't want to have to deal with their daughter having to deal with fucking dudes. So some guys are gonna be like, nope, I want my daughter to be a lesbian. At least I only have to deal with other women.
I would see that. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I could see that happening.
So even if you gave people complete choice, people are still the outcomes are still gonna be the same. And again,
well, you just said that straight would choose gay, so it wouldn't be the same.
I'm saying I don't think it'd be at a large clip, but I'm just saying if you leave people up to their own devices, you're gonna still have deviations. Now those deviations are not gonna be statistically significant, but they still will occur to where you're never going to get a zero sum game. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you're never going to get all straight people, all gay people, all whatever. You're going to get people who deviate for whatever reasons, but they're still going to be just like it is now. They're still going to be a very small subset of the population.
Well, that's our view of printing babies.
Don't print babies.
In the future.
Don't print babies.
Designer print babies.
Because making babies the regular way is pretty fun.
Well, if they better be able to institute that part into it still.
It's
almost like you take a pill. The guy. Oh, okay. Oh man, we're getting out there with this. You take a pill as a guy.
Yeah.
And then the first time you come after you
take
have
the pill?
sex. Yeah, it's that baby. Like
so you take a baby pill.
It's that like a specific thing. I don't know. It would be like a nano. What are those things called?
Nanotech.
Bots or nano robots, like the little very very small ones. Yeah. Man, this is crazy.
Look,
we need to invent this stuff before it gets out there and people steal our ideas.
You know what? I'm gonna say my idea on here so that way if it does get stolen, I can claim it. The idea that I texted you, that I want to come up with a service that picks up your Amazon shit that you want to return. Who the fuck wants to return their Amazon shit?
I hate when that happens.
Fucking nobody.
It's annoying.
What if you had an app?
Really annoying.
What if you had an app that was directly linked to your Amazon? So if you received a package and it wasn't the right computer, the right size shoes, the right size pants, the right microwave, you just said, okay, I want to return, get my money back. And then you just hit something that says, I need somebody to pick it up. You leave it on your doorstep, somebody comes, picks it up, and returns it to Amazon.
Yeah, but every day, like, the mailman comes by your house, and you could just put it back in the box and put postage on it and have him mail it out. And he's there every day, even when it rains.
I really wasn't asking for feedback, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I hadn't thought that deep.
I hadn't either until now.
Okay, but
I thought it was a good idea, and then I was like, "Well, the mailman could do that."
No, that's true. You're right, but I'm talking about
the mailman like a 10.
Yeah, I'm talking about a service that's directly linked to Amazon. So while you're even in your Amazon, in your Amazon account, because when you click return, it prints out the UPS label. It does all of that, but you still have to physically take that thing to UPS.
Yeah,
and I'm saying, getting somebody who for all those people who do not work, kids, whatever, marriage, who do not want to take that box to the UPS store, you have a service that comes around and picks all of those items that people want to return.
Okay. Sure, I'll invest.
You killed my idea.
Hey, come up with a plan. I'll invest, man. We got some listeners. I'm sure they'll throw some money at it. We'll do a Kickstarter for you.
Look, I'm gonna start a GoFundMe. All I need is about $400,000 to start.
Raise ideas. This is a Kickstarter just to get Ray some ideas. Don't donate money, donate ideas.
I just want to think all day. Can y'all pay me to think?
We're gonna be a think tank. We're gonna make it. The Revolutionary Instigators think tank.
You know what I was just thinking
Get
about?
paid to just give people our opinion on
Yeah,
shit.
no, that's real shit. Thinking is a rare commodity.
Okay.
Most people don't know how to think.
All right. They just kind of cut it off at the first instance of the thought.
Yeah.
Don't dig into it deep.
Because I heard a pretty good explanation of like what thinking is. Thinking is taking something you believe and trying to destroy it. That's thinking. That you say, okay, I think computers shouldn't exist, and then you try to come up with a reason computers should exist. That is thinking. But when you say,
Is that something you believe?
maybe.
Okay. All right. Can we get into that?
All right, let's get it.
I mean, it's up to you.
All right, I'm gonna finish that thought, but
Okay, yeah, go
most
ahead.
people don't think because thinking requires more than just coming up with a fucking opinion. All right, let's get it.
So you don't think computers should exist?
I don't think people should exist.
Okay. All right.
No. I was just using the computers in front of me, so I just thought about it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want to get into the other topic we're
Let's
going to
get
talk
it.
about?
Let's get it,
We've
man.
been kind of going on this one for a while.
For a minute. Let's talk about millennials a little bit more and the decisions they make.
Yeah, so we both have seen at least one of the Fire Festival documentaries that have just come out.
We have.
If you haven't had a chance, Hulu, Netflix. I've seen the Hulu one. Ray has seen both the Netflix and the Hulu one. I know the Hulu one focuses more on the founder of the Fire Festival,
Yes.
Billy McFarland. Is
Yes,
that his name?
That is his name.
Isn't that close to the guy that's named that as Family Guy's creator?
Oh yeah, Seth
Seth-
MacFarlane.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was if you don't know, the Fire Festival was a music festival that happened or tried to happen about 2 years ago.
Very
It
important
was like-
caveat.
I think it was early 2017 is when it was like April 2017 is
Yeah.
when it was supposed to go off in the Bahamas. It's supposed to be all these big acts, and then it was also supposed to be very exclusive, very many expensive tickets sold, and then when the people all got there, there was nothing. There was just like FEMA tents, a bunch of alcohol, like a what,
$2 million worth.
Is that what he said?
$2 million.
What?
2.
I was gonna say
million.
$5,000 worth.
No.
Shit.
$2 million worth of booze.
Yeah, and then there was just like a free for all for getting a tent, and these people paid $25,000-$30,000 sometimes for tickets, maybe even more than that.
A lot more.
And the marketing campaign was done by Fuck Jerry, who's a very well-known Instagram account that posts like funny memes and stuff. But they did the marketing for it, and they, I guess, have gotten somewhat in trouble as well. But it's just a wild story about how it all came together.
Yeah, and I think what makes it so interesting is that for those of us who are kind of anti-social media, not necessarily anti, but see the pitfalls of it, and who are anti, these fake Instagram models and celebrities promoting things that they don't really know what they're talking about. For everybody who's been kind of on the fences about it thus far, it's one of two reactions. It's like, yo, I'm so glad I got off those platforms and I wasn't buying into it. And two, it's like, I fucking told you so, man. The environment was perfectly created for this to happen.
Some people seem to need it. It's like the religion thing. You know, some people get a benefit out of it somehow. Like it gives their brain a little jump start of happy or whatever they get from seeing other people's lives. But there's a lot of us, you and I included, that don't really get that anymore. Maybe did at one time.
Oh, I definitely got it.
Yeah, and even love the debating aspect of those platforms, but realize,
sir, debating is not the word to use.
If you can't have a reasonable conversation with anyone via text message,
no,
ever,
no,
unless it's via a letter. An old school like letter, handwritten type shit. I don't know.
I think the only caveat I'd give it is because maybe as you're writing a letter, because it takes so long, you can change your thoughts and feelings. So like if you started off pissed off and mad and ready to say some ratchet shit, by the time you got there, you've calmed down enough.
Writing is hard.
It's a bitch. I haven't done so in so long. But if maybe that's the one caveat I give it. But there is nothing more beneficial than in-person conversation. Body language is so key. Look, how do we walk around saying 90% of communication is body language. How do we walk around with that knowledge in mind and still think that things like Twitter are an acceptable conduit of conversation? How?
Follow our Twitter.
I just yeah, but still follow our Twitter, motherfuckers. But honestly, there is no way you can have conversations where people feel both truly, genuinely heard and understood through these mediums. I just don't see how it happens.
Yeah, it's not possible.
And it also opens up avenues because it's not so. Yes, people lie in person and get away with it. But if I was sitting here trying to sell you something right now and I was lying to you, if we were talking long enough, there's a good possibility I could give something away, right?
True.
But if you're lying to somebody on social media and selling them some bullshit on social media, they could be typing something that seems so genuine and sincere and be snickering the whole time, like, look at this dumb motherfucker, I'm about to get $500,000 from him. You don't, and it's so brief, you can't really gauge whether I'm being taken advantage of. Oh, that's a door that gets opened up through these social media platforms, which is what Fire Festival took advantage of.
Yeah, it was. And as I said, if you guys don't know, this just gives some of the numbers. All right, I've been to a bunch of music festivals, and these things I know they take years to plan. Each one may take over a year to plan.
18 months, I heard.
Yeah,
is like
so
average.
this guy, Billy McFarlane, said he planned 6 months before the event, he came up with the idea. Just 6 months before he actually put it on. 5 months before the event, he announced it on Instagram. So just a month in of planning, he announced it with Fuck Jerry, and I think you saw it was those big orange. Were you on any of the social media at that time?
Nope.
Dude, I remember that specifically. You would be scrolling through and you see these orange screens, and you're like, why is it all orange? This is weird. And then you would see all these different Instagram people all had orange things up, and it was all about that.
Let me ask you this, because you are a festival guy, you have your finger on the pulse of like what's going on in that realm.
Sure.
For the most part, not like you're not inundated in it, but you got like
I was
for the festivals especially that you fuck with, what's going on.
Definitely.
Was there a chance that could have got you?
No, I mean I definitely saw it, and it just. I think I looked at ticket prices. I think I remember looking at ticket prices.
So, I mean, it did its job.
I remember seeing it was sold out. Not necessarily that I wanted to go because the lineup wasn't something I really fucked with. It definitely wasn't worth the money, but it was interesting for sure to see that online. It was just like, oh, this is for rich people. That's what I assumed it was.
Which
like
a lot of people did.
Because there's festivals marketed to whoever, and they're not cheap events to go to, but. I mean, this one basically took away the cheap part and just made it an exclusive event.
Yeah.
And they did that by saying they sold out general admission tickets when they really just...
Not even close.
Yeah, they just needed more money.
So let me ask you this. If it had met your lineup requirements, is there a chance you could have been like... I mean, it's just like, in all honesty, do you think there's a chance you could have...
I think I would have figured it out.
Okay.
Yeah, and no. Because it was like $12,000 for the cheapest thing I remember seeing on the Hulu special. It was like $12,000.
That's a lot.
This says 3 months before it started, they had to seek a second round of funding because they lacked funds. Wow. The money, of course, had gone to the aforementioned influencers and models who had been basically promoting this online, as well as blowout trips to the island that apparently occurred every other weekend. It is funny to see Ja Rule just like not taking any blame for this at all, and all he did was give that same speech over and over again, like, we're gonna party like, what do you say? We're gonna party like rock stars and fuck like porn stars or something like that.
But did you watch the Hulu one or
just the Hulu
but remember on the Hulu one, or was it the Netflix one? At least one of them shows Ja Rule on the Drink Champs.
It was afterwards.
He basically admits it was my idea.
Well, he says that, but during the same episode, he also said it was Billy's idea. Like at the beginning, he says that, and then later on, he gets drunk. He's like, "Oh yeah, it was all my idea." It's like, damn, man, you can't just get drunk.
Where's Ja?
Yeah. Oh, I had to watch that with Lydia last night.
She had never seen it.
No, we watched it because of that, because of the Fire documentary.
Where's Ja?
Yeah. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Ja Rule was very heavily involved in this, and he basically, after it was all over, said he kind of had nothing to do with it right away, and then went on a podcast show called, what is it?
Drink Champs.
The Drink Champs, and got drunk and admitted or at least said it was all my idea. So we don't really know whose idea it was, but I think he's off. He didn't get in trouble.
No, he's not getting in trouble. But
well, no, he's part of one of the lawsuits, but he's not like getting in trouble. I don't think. But Billy McFarland's in prison for 6 years now, based on this con.
Yeah, but I mean, Ja Rule has other financial issues that he was dealing with even before he got involved with this. Ja Rule is not the best character witness, if you get what I mean. The dude's a kind of a fucking liar and manipulator, dude. And
Billy?
No, Ja Rule is.
Oh yeah,
he was
like
it. Tax evasion or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like Ja Rule came in this with some immaculate what's the word? Persona, and that this ruined him. People already saw him as like a shiesty individual.
Then him and Billy were perfect for each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Hulu documentary went into how Billy was very much so like this from a very early age. Yep. He constantly
just lied and made shit up
and conned people his whole life.
And
you know what's the credit card thing was my favorite.
Dude, fucking
he made a black card just
out of metal.
Just out of a sheet of metal he ordered from China and put on his like debit card label, and then made an exclusive club where you could like go to some penthouse or something and hang out with a bunch of frat guys, and it's like that doesn't seem that fun.
That's at all. But if you think about it, if you think about what they did for each other, you're right. They were perfect for each other because Ja Rule was out of fucking relevance.
Yep.
Nobody gave a fuck about who he was or what he did.
Music festivals were huge.
Yep. And then Billy McFarland needed somebody with a well enough known name.
Yep. To attach himself to.
And it was like it was legitimately.
Well, and I didn't even know the Fire app was how you book celebrities for like events and birthday parties and stuff.
Here's the unfortunate part: that Fire app idea was fucking genius, man.
Yeah, and they said, is it Ja Rule's revamping it now? They said that at the end of the Fire or the Hulu documentary.
I think so.
That Ja Rule's now doing a app called like Icon.
Oh, man.
Now, where
anything with Ja Rule attached to it.
Yeah, you can book like artists and celebrities for your birthday party or event.
The idea is dope.
Yeah, it is really cool. And, I mean, you got to connect them somehow.
Yeah, and the fucked up part is all those engineers and app developers who spent, 2-3 years developing that bitch?
Well, I'm sure they're out of work.
And got nothing. Damn, that's
tough, so
man.
Many people didn't get paid for this thing. It says like the catering company dropped out 28 days before it even started. They paid all these different models $20,000 on Instagram. Kendall Jenner got $250K for one Instagram post.
Damn,
that's a lot of money.
She was probably the thing that made the fucking thing take off. Her post is probably what did it, man. Because those other influencers were kind of like.
It says $500 to $2,000 is how much people actually paid for their ticket. Previous claims of packages purchased for hundreds of thousands of dollars were apparently all gross exaggerations. Interesting.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that is interesting. Because I mean, in the Netflix and Hulu documentaries, they both say that people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on tickets and shit.
Black Point Island said he said it was not a private island. It was actually an abandoned development site. It was like a gravel pit when you saw it on there. They advertised it as beaches and boat rides and clear water. And it was like this teal, like kind of polluted water in a gravel pit type thing. It was terrible.
I thought it was the parking lot of the Sandals Resort. It was like attached to it.
No, that's what basically what it was the on the map. That's what it looked like. That's how they took the festival map and made it out of that design. Okay. But when you looked at it, it did have some of those same like loopy circular things off to the right hand side, just like the parking lot did in that map. So it may have been a old development site for a hotel is what it was, and that was abandoned. So
that's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. And I mean, this just goes through all the numbers of so many different tickets sold. But yeah, he's in prison now for 6 months, and I just think that the millennials, which we're a part of, because that's 1980 and 1995.
We fall in that category.
They all got duped by this, and they just wanted it to be so exclusive and so real, and it just didn't work out how they thought it would. It's unfortunate, but it's also so funny to me that this happened to people. and even so, even if you got duped by it, hopefully you get your money back in this lawsuit.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But
He was in mad debt.
If you're gonna be there, you got to make the best of it, man.
Yeah.
I would have found a fucking spot on some beach, found some food of some kind. Like, you brought money with you, right? There's definitely, it's an island with people on it in a different spot. Go to that spot.
Oh yeah, true.
Like,
that's a good point.
Like, don't stay in a place where there's no food and no water. That's on you as a human. You
Yeah.
you know your basic needs.
Yeah.
Go
yeah.
to where they exist.
Yeah.
If they don't exist in the FEMA tents, then
Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Oh, is this a video?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's all the people when they first arrived and they got dropped off by the bus and
Oh,
everybody
man.
was lined up at the house trying to figure out where
Oh,
the
the
fuck
blue
they were
house,
supposed to go.
yeah.
And there goes Billy standing on top of the thing.
Oh god, what an
What
idiot.
the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it was a complete disaster. And like, I've gone to a couple festivals that have been crazy, like heat waves,
Of course.
tons of storms, a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get through. You know, you're sleeping in collapsed tents or just in the rain, however it works
It
out.
sucks.
But, you know, these people were not prepared for this type of
No.
thing.
No. And
not in a foreign country.
And it's like, dude, look, I hope this would make y'all understand that do not believe shit you see on the internet.
Yeah, you got to check your sources. I know I posted that on our Twitter maybe last week, but just there's certain sites that are good for sources. There's certain sites that are not.
Yeah.
Just make sure you know which ones are good.
And the information is out there. And there was a guy, remember on the documentary, there was a guy who created the Fire Fraud account.
Yeah.
Who was posting
I love that.
every single
He
day.
he knew beforehand. I didn't even know that.
Way
So,
before.
yeah, there were
Way before.
For you guys that don't know, there were a couple people that ended up figuring this out before the festival even took place. So they started trying to warn people. One guy created a Fire Fraud Festival account and was posting from it, and you know, people really didn't listen.
Yeah.
And then Fuck Jerry was basically flagging any comments with any word about the festival and taking them down.
Yep.
The word festival was flagged. That's crazy.
It was so savage, bro. And dude, and every time, and this is mostly a dude thing, right? I would think that anytime we see water and bad bitches, we just flock to it.
Yeah, I would assume it was a lot of guys.
We got to do our due diligence about not letting ourselves be duped by a video that shows an island with nobody on it but a bunch of bad bitches. Like, that's, look.
How'd they get there? Were they born there?
Like, bruh.
Did they live there?
Right. Because you know what?
I don't believe this.
I think I got a perfect thing.
Cheese sandwich.
You know what happened? People fell, and this is a big pitfall of a lot, myself included in this. People fell in love with the idea rather than the reality.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, the bad part is they didn't understand the reality until they got there. It was. I have to admit, this man.
The reality was there way before.
Well, for some people, yeah. If you looked hard enough,
Yeah,
people were
not even that hard. If you had done any type of even minimal research on Fire Festival, the information about how it was fake would have popped up. People made
the fear of missing out was huge.
Yes,
for sure.
They made a conscientious decision to not even go searching for the truth.
I wrote down what the definition of an influencer is on Instagram. It's the performance of an attractive life.
Oh my god! Dude.
Yeah, I heard that during the documentary. I was like, oh shit, I never knew what it was called.
And that's what these things are good at creating. They're great at creating an idea, but not great at creating a reality.
They even tricked the people that they hired for them. They were very good at what they did. You have to admit, Billy is good at creating a false identity.
Oh, for sure.
In so many ways.
For sure.
And he had Fuck Jerry confused. Mm-hmm. He had all these models confused. He had probably Ja Rule confused till the last fucking minute. I don't know. Ja doesn't seem like the sharpest tool in the shed, man.
Well, yeah, that's a fact.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe Billy was like, yeah, man, I got this. And Ja was like, all right, cool, I'll just do the partying part, right? And he's like, yeah. You know, they pulled like $25 million from Billy when they arrested him, and that's crazy that they.
No, he had raised $25 million. He didn't have that though.
No, that's what it said in the Hulu one, that they seized $25 million from his accounts. Totally. And it was just like, wow, he had still that much money even after going broke for the festival or whatever.
Damn.
But he
Man.
still owed. Obviously, you saw
Like
however many
over
millions.
100 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
insane.
like the fact that he
100 million.
he got that investor to give him like 500 grand
Oh
once,
yeah.
and then he got that woman who for whatever reason she was a multimillionaire that was just attached to him and believed in him and just kept giving him
Was that in the
mad
Netflix
bread.
one? I don't think I saw that.
No, that was in the Hulu one.
Oh, it was?
The blonde chick who was just rich as fuck and for some reason believed in them from the
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
some just an investor, like
Yeah,
a billionaire's wife investor.
and just fucked with the kid.
How about the dude? I mean, people should have saw it coming from the beginning, where
Which
the
one?
super shady oil guy was investing in him in the black
And
card.
got arrested?
Magnesis.
Come on, bro.
They were like,
And
"What
drove
what does that name mean?" He was like, "I don't know."
And drove his car off a fucking cliff like the day after they
Oh,
caught
yeah.
him.
Okay,
The
that was
day
yeah.
after.
When you see things like that, what do you think?
I think
You think he
that,
killed himself?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is what I think happens when you're a person who's lived a life of extreme privilege for X amount of years, right? And you know that in the blink of an eye, it's about to be all snatched away from you.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people cannot cope with that.
Oh, it's happened
So they take
many
themselves
times.
out.
Yeah, I've seen that in
Yeah.
the news many
Yeah.
times. But sometimes you think like, okay, this could be somebody's taking him out. In not in this situation, but in certain situations when that happens, you think, okay, why would they kill themselves?
When
And
they wake up dead?
Yeah, when they wake up
They
dead.
wake up dead.
That's
bro.
all. I think for another episode we'll get into conspiracy theories because I have the whole thing I want to do on your favorite ones and
Oh, yeah.
what we actually think, why they exist,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
And-
we'll get into that later. But
And here's a little quick thing about conspiracy theories. Situations like those make you understand why conspiracy theories exist and why there's an actual need for conspiracy theories, because you have to listen to the dissenters, because sometimes those motherfuckers might be right. And so whenever you see a wave catching on, whatever that wave may be, whether it is social media, whether it's something clothing wise in an industry, whether it's cars, find people who think whatever idea that is catching on is going to get fucked up, and see why they think that.
yeah,
Because sometimes those dudes might be right, and if they happen to be right and you bet on them, you come away sitting real pretty, like the people who bet on the economy and the people who bet on the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight and took Buster Douglas. So every once in a while, bruh, they're gonna be right. You know what I'm saying?
well, not in the Fire Festival case. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like he was right ever. He's just one after another.
But wait, time out. But was he wrong?
I mean, I get
was he?
I get what he's trying to do.
I mean,
He's hustling.
He kind of won.
Yes. Well,
He
he's
kinda-
6 years.
Okay, say
Also his girlfriend is dumb as a brick.
man.
Maybe not dumb, but she does not portray herself as knowing all the facts about the situation.
Or she is of the type of people who got duped, and she is purposely willing she's purposely willing to overlook certain things.
She seems like a model that he met along the
Yes.
way, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when she started talking, I was like, oh, she is just a product.
Eastern European.
Yeah, she's just a product of what he is trying to create.
Yeah.
And he knows that people like her are the type of people who he created the festival for, because he can control them.
There was an extra scene on Hulu. I don't know if you watched it.
I did not.
It was only like a minute long, and they asked him if he knew what a sociopath was, if he knew the definition of a sociopath.
What did he say?
And he was just like, no, I don't. And they were like, do you want to know? And they told him, and basically it's someone that does not know right from wrong and does not recognize their actions or doesn't really recognize morality. And he said, I don't think I'm a sociopath. I don't think I'm a genius. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. And it was just like, come on, man. Those aren't the only two options. Like, that's not one end and the other. You don't have to be one or the other.
Yo, this dude
just
is
painted
fucking...
yourself in a worse light than you were this whole time.
And look, which is why we feel the way we do about sociopaths, because so much of who and what we are is based on faith in one another and feelings of shame, guilt, agony. And if somebody comes along
They don't
who
recognize
feels
that at all.
none of that,
Yeah.
they can have
That's
their
scary.
fucking way, bruh.
We should get into serial killers one time because there's some crazy
Yes.
ones we could talk about.
I've been watching the fucking documentary on the Ted Bundy tapes.
Oh, I heard that is wild.
What?
Yeah.
Bruh.
He was eating motherfuckers.
Bruh.
He was eating people.
This
Yes.
dude. Son, I'm not gonna lie. This might gonna sound real bitch made. I don't watch that shit at night, bruh.
It's gotta be a daytime show.
That's a daytime show, my guy.
Weekend daytime show.
Son, that motherfucker was gone. And you know what's funny? Because a lot of us are scared of ghosts. We're scared of these, like the devil and these fantastical things.
You need
But
to be
it's-
scared of people.
Be scared of fucking people, bro.
Yes.
People are who you need to be
That's
worried
hey,
about, man.
you know what? That's what we're gonna do. We're definitely gonna talk about some serial
Ooh.
killers on one of these episodes because
Let's
there's some
fucking get it.
there's some wild ones we can get into.
I got some shit I got to say about crazy motherfuckers,
All right,
bro.
I'm gonna write that down for next time for sure.
Let's get it.
You got anything else?
I think that's it. Another good episode. Ray and Andrew on the ones and twos. Figure.
Yeah. Well, until next time, we'll over and out.
Yeah.